Good evening and welcome to the Sporting Club Ireland Weekend Review podcast. And today, a curse was broken. 75 years of hurt gone, and Mayo are the All Ireland champions for 2026. With me this evening, as always, is Michael Meehan. Michael, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Mark. Yeah, I'm good. I'm not as good as our Mayo brothers, but and sisters, but yeah, we got a final. In fairness, it wasn't. A lot of the talk was we were going to have a repeat of something that we would have seen last weekend with the hurling final and being being one sided. And do you know what? It nearly was one sided, but in the complete opposite direction. But yeah, we're just I suppose a couple of hours after it here, and I think like you and probably everyone who was watching, obviously just watching on TV today, and just the scenes afterwards. I think RT captured it quite well. Just letting the camera roll and getting around the stadium for the different sought after songs that were blaring the green and red, and yeah, just that outpouring really. It was there was a lot of emotion behind it. In those final few minutes when they had the lead and the camera would cut to the stand, I God, I said there was heart attacks, or there was close to being heart attacks there. The venom and what you saw on the faces, the Mayo faces, just as they cheered their team on there for the final few minutes. It was remarkable, absolutely, truly remarkable.
It was incredible. Look, yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone could begrudge Mayo that win today. Like, honestly, I'm a Galway man. Aoife is a Galway woman, but we actually got emotional. Just seeing what it meant to them. All those years of hurt, all those lost finals, and like, I'm a big fan of Andy Moore myself. It was nice to see Aidan O'Shea and a few like that, few servants like that, Killian O'Connor walk up the steps. And although they didn't play a part today, they got to lift the trophy. Even Lee Keegan, you could see him involved at the end. But look, they're they're an incredible team. So we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the game. But there is no doubt that the best team won today.
Yeah, I think so, and I think in doing so they exercised a lot of demons for some of the lads you mentioned there, and even all the players back before them. Through the 80s, 90s, noughties. There'll be a lot of people taking a lot of joy in out of that victory, and especially at the hands to Kerry. But on the day, yeah, they were Bar obviously they didn't do it in the easy way either. Like going was a 1-5 to a point, and
Yeah.
they were dropping balls short into the hill, like it was going out of fashion there in the first 15 or 20 minutes. But just that massive 2-pointer from Jack Carney into the hill, just settled them into it. Got a bit of belief into everyone on the pitch and in the stands, and just from there they grew into it. I thought they fought so hard, they battled so hard, they pressed, like what they got out of their forwards in terms of work rate off the ball, and the tackling and the pressure they put under Kerry. And that wasn't a surprise, that was expected. They had shown that against Louth in particular, in Cork, against Meath, when they needed to. Um, but on the biggest day, like in the biggest pitch, they did that really well, and Kerry just struggled with it, getting the ball out, and just didn't get a rhythm really. And yeah, that was the platform really for me that Mayo thrived on.
I was actually gonna break down the game a little bit today. So like, if we break it into the four quarters or whatever. So Mayo didn't start that well. It wasn't from lack of effort, but the very first possession, I think Darragh Beirne ran out over the line. There was hand passes going astray. They were still harrying and hassling Kerry, but Kerry were getting a couple of scores off easy. And I suppose when they get that goal and they find themselves 1-5 to a point down, you are beginning to worry. Is
Yeah.
it something similar to last week? But look, as you mentioned, they regrouped. Their leader stood up, and it was the two pointers that got them back into the game. But even though they were missing those shots, Michael, I felt besides that last third and probably the nerves, I thought they were actually playing quite well. What did you think?
Yeah, they were like our Kerry just got in maybe a little bit easy for the goal, just a backdoor cut, and there wasn't enough heat on Clifford. Now he's deadly in those situations. He made the right decision taking it around Jack Livingston, and I'm probably disappointed with that. And in and around that time, some of the scores they were just clipping over easy scores. But credit to Mayo, they started finding a few kickouts into the pockets. Jack Livingston, he got a couple into the 13 pocket, or sorry, the 4 pocket as in a defensive play to his left, and I thought they fought hard, for kick out possession, an area that they were probably expected to be dominated in much more than they were. I suppose Jim O'Connor was a loss for Kerry from the start.
Yeah, he was,
and he was one of their kind of 4 pillars that they target. So there was a little bit less options there for Kerry, but Kerry didn't get away too many short ball. That's credit to Mayo's press. And then when they went long, I thought Mayo just battled really hard. Like you said, they were in the game, and their shots. There was I think there was probably 4 short into the hill. A couple of them were 2-point efforts, others weren't. So they were, but that's maybe that's what they went with. Like, they were happy to go and to kick, and like inevitably they won the 2-point battle. They had 4, Kerry had 1. That's what won them the game. Like in one sense, that's what won them the game, and they realized that. So it was essentially like, we're going to keep kicking here, and they weren't fazed by it. The crowd didn't get on their back. They didn't get on their own backs. They just kind of stuck to the plan. They knew they were going to need these scores, and they got vital ones in the first half, get them back into it. Got great ones in the second half then as well, just to widen the gap. But yeah, I was really impressed by. I thought, obviously the forwards, did brilliantly. Like Kobe didn't, it didn't flow for him. He had wide, he had short, he did this and that, but he still maybe gets 3 scores. When O'Donoghue was tenacious, like he led the line in terms of his tackling and his work rate and hounding of the Kerry lads. And like, when you see it back, what he did for the goal was amazing. Like, he carried the ball, he loses 3 lads, he gives the right pass. It was a monumental play, in fairness to him. And Darragh Beirne finished it excellently, and he's another inside forward, and he worked his socks off as well. Got some great scores.
Yeah.
And then I thought, like, Jordan Flynn, I thought it had a massive game. The lads in the middle of the field really, really fought hard. Jack Coyne, as much as his massive scores, but in open play and just disrupting and just not letting Kerry settle or get into a groove.
100%. I actually thought Jack, Bob Toohey, Jordan Flynn, all those guys were kind of excellent, as you said, at disrupting clean Kerry possession. So, look, the stats after kind of, I was nearly misled. I actually thought Mayo had almost won the kick-out battle, but they certainly had parity, but they broke a lot. And, Enda Hession, I thought, was excellent. McBrien was excellent. And you mentioned Darragh Beirne. So today, I realize he's got a turn of pace as well. Now, he never really got to use it, but just, when you're trying to get away from someone and you're on the ball, you could just see he actually has. I wasn't sure he had. Like, he's all the silky skill, and he finished that goal brilliantly. Kobe, he whatever, that ball goes out for the 45, and he could have sent it into Dawson Street. It was such a big kick. And right. But Ryan O'Donoghue, like, he epitomizes everything about Mayo this year. Like, he is tenacious. You would not want to be a cornerback or a fullback coming out with him on you, because there was a couple he was unlucky with in the first half. I thought, I think Paul Murphy dragged him down. I thought that was a free. So they really, they didn't let them settle. And Kerry never got into that groove because Mayo are always in their faces. And like that's a testament to their fitness as well, because that, like, you wonder where they're going to run out of steam at some point. And they actually never really ran out of steam. They were always in your face, even to the last play. So I was very impressed across the board.
Yeah. And like, some of the commentary and analysis was suggesting that they would press like they did, but they mightn't do it for the full 70 because it's too hard to do it for the full 70. But they essentially did. And it's as much, I suppose, Mark, the energy that you get, when things are going your way and you're up and you're all of a sudden, like, it was probably more than any final they were ever in. It was on. Like, they had hit the front and they'd opened up a gap. And they looked good. So the energy, like, the legs are never going to tire in that situation. Then it's a completely different. It's a battle of upstairs, and they were in the right frame of mind with everything that was going their way. But that was built on all the work that they did to get them into that situation. You mentioned Darragh Beirne, and I like his goal was a great finish, but he had a fantastic point as well. He had a couple of like dummy solos and just feints and goals, and Joe O'Connor does everything to try and block a shot into the Davins, or into the canal end, what I call it, in the second half, and he still gets it over the bar. He was under serious pressure, so he does. He seems like a great player. He had a good interview after the game as well.
He did. Look, just a young lad, like he's just
Yeah.
you love it. Like he's just not a care in the world. It was an incredible interview.
It was brilliant. The wildest dreams. In his first year. He played a Hogan Cup final, secondary school final in Croke Park a year and a bit ago, and he didn't come out victorious that day with St. Coleman's, but he, I'd say never in his wildest dreams he'd expected that he'd be back there so soon and playing such a big part in a victorious Mayo team.
As I said, it's just kind of like, you're digesting it. Before we came on, I was listening to the Mayo commentary for the last couple of minutes. You should listen to it later if you haven't. It's incredible. But Andy Moran came in. He set his stall out. They were talking about the backroom team. They've got a good backroom team. They brought in that injection of youth, and he said it gave Ryan O'Donoghue, Jack Carney, Jack Coyne, all these guys that get up and go to kind of, I suppose, reach the pinnacle they did today, because things had probably gone a little bit sour or stale in Mayo, and they did have a couple of semi-barren years, but it just shows, with a good man at the helm, and not saying the previous wasn't, but and that injection of youth, and obviously they're very talented players. You can't just go down to your local club and pick up a couple of 18-year-olds, but these guys are top class. Like what you can do in like, they're ahead of schedule. We would have said.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And just on your point there, it was Peter Canavan who mentioned it after the match, going back to 2003, and he was a long time soldiering with Tyrone at that stage and had gone close. And he referenced that at the start of the year when Mickey Hart, I think that might have been his first year with Tyrone, or first or second year, but he brought in a lot of young players, Stephen O'Neill and Hub Hughes and lads like that. And Peter referenced them, that there's just that injection of youth, and what it does, they're all good players, but what it does for the older lads who are there a little bit longer, it just kind of gives everyone a shot in the arm. And Mayo definitely, it was a fairy tale really, the way it all went, and with the youth that they brought in, and even I suppose the story with Kobe, and he's on his way to Australia, and it was just all sort of coming together, that it was a shot to nothing for him, or it was a one and done kind of situation, and everyone was lamenting that, because would he ever get to play in All Ireland was the thing, and then would he ever get to win in All Ireland, and he did it all, like, so it just all kind of momentum, I suppose. They got momentum. Roscommon, made them look ordinary in very ordinary in Castlebar, but so long ago, and since then they just grew and grew, and fairness to them, like they got it right. They had Cork and Louth, and Tyrone were better by a point up in Omagh in the last round of the kind of the championship phase. Yeah. So they just, it wasn't plain sailing, that's for sure. But, at the right time and the right place, it all came together.
It certainly did. I think Andy Moore mentioned that as well. He was implementing new systems, and he was doing that probably still in the Roscommon game. So, they've had some tough days this year, but they've had the best day. And look, on the day, I mean, right, so he made a change early, and I don't think there was nothing against Paul Towie. I don't think, just it wasn't going his way, but that change was a very positive change. Got Ryan out at 11, and Tommy Conroy came in. He got a great score, but they were more threatening, and Kerry, for whatever reason, they did give Ryan O'Donoghue kind of almost run a Croke Park similar to Paddy got last year, so I imagine they regret that, but that was a brave call, a good call, get it done early, like, so it just shows like he's not afraid to make those changes as well, and you need to make them on the biggest days. So look, it's kind of like a fairy tale. Everything has come together. Like, Kobe's meant to be on his flight on Friday. And one go at it, he's got an All Ireland. Like, there's unbelievable players like you who don't. So it's a mental story. Like, I mean, and I guess that's why there's so much hype and everything behind it, because he is a superstar. You saw Kieran in the crowd today. Like, you don't see him in the public too often, as you know.
No,
So it was a cool thing to see.
it was. It was brilliant. And like, in fairness to Andy, he had tough decisions to make during the year. Lads he played with and soldiered with, he kind of had to cut them loose a little bit and push them down the pecking order and go with youth, and it worked. But that's a very difficult thing to do for a young manager, to have to do that to lads that he soldiered with. Now they were all still there and involved, but and no one can say it wasn't the wrong thing to do. It worked out. He made the calls, and even today, then with Tommy Conroy, we mentioned on the build up to this that Tommy was moving so well the last day, and I just felt there was something in him, and I was wondering, could he have been thrown in from the start? But I suppose you couldn't do that, because it would have been really unfair on the lads that were ahead of him, essentially in the top three. He plays in the inside three now, but they made the call early. They got him in, and what it probably did is it took Jason Foley off Ryan O'Donoghue. Jason Foley, speedster for Kerry. They were afraid of Tommy inside. That Jason goes back in there, and then Ryan just gets a little bit more freedom, maybe out the field, and just there's more spaces. And he's good. He's a good mover. He's good on his feet, and he handled a load of balls. So he was very influential. He was influential anyway, but when he got out there, and Mayo got on top, he grew into that game.
Yeah, 100%. No, and like just on Kerry, like I didn't think they played terribly bad. Like Clifford, I think finished at 1-6. He started well. I think you're right. I think Diarmuid O'Connor was probably a big miss. But I just think personally, on the day that whether it was youth, the want to win, the kind of sheer will from the likes of Ryan O'Donoghue, it just felt like Mayo's day. Like Sean O'Shea, I thought played quite well as well. So like, I wasn't looking at the Kerry team to say there was too many off. Now their midfielders I thought were quiet. Mark O'Shea was in a little bit. Sean O'Brien probably not that much. Gavin White didn't, like, because Diarmuid O'Connor did a great job, suppressing his runs. We didn't see Mikey Breen get, in that quarterback role like we have all year. So I think probably, Andy Moran's, again, his matchups, his tactics, it put them in a good place. And also the last one, we didn't really see Dylan Geeney at all.
Yeah, he got a bang. He got a bang early on, but it comes back on, goes off, comes back in. But yeah, the matchup there worked really well. I have to, and in fairness, they got a lot of their matchups right. Paul Murphy handled a lot of ball, got out with a lot of ball, and it was just, there was so much pressure on them. In fairness, Paddy, like as the game was going on, you were thinking if Kerry were to win, Paddy was probably their man of the match. He was taking fight to them, and he was getting scores and single-handedly trying to drag them over the line. And I'm surprised they didn't kick more ball inside. There was times David was one. They did hit a few, but I'm surprised they just didn't chance that a little bit more, go a little bit more direct. Maybe it's just credit to the pressure they're under. Like, they couldn't lift the head as quickly to try and pick the path. But we, in the analysis I've looked at with GA Plus, throughout the season, and a lot of their best stuff was, the lads, so, not even solo, but maybe one hop or one solo, but their head is up and they're scanning the field and they're picking the perfect pass, and it's a kick pass, couple of kick passes into the field and a score. And it did happen maybe a little bit, but it certainly, they couldn't bed that in consistently enough. And it's probably down to the matchups across all the Kerry forwards. They matched up probably as well as they could. And what did they keep them to? 117. That's good. That's good going. In fairness, that's good going. That'll win you a game. If you can keep, you'll be expecting to score more than that at this day and age with the new rules. And maybe even scoring a little bit more than that to beat a Kerry team. But they weren't, you probably felt they weren't themselves. They just weren't humming. Kerry weren't
No, they
humming
weren't.
at all.
No.
A little bit down to what was good. Their performance, certainly, then the rest of it down to what Mayo did.
Percent. One question again. Sorry, I know I asked this a couple of episodes back, but so into the hill in the second half, and actually the first half for Mayo as well, there seemed to be a lot of shot opportunity kind of on the left-hand side and inside the arc, but the guys weren't taking it on. So I'm assuming the wind was probably it was too difficult to take those shots on, because, you even saw Sean O'Shea and a few of these guys turn these shots down. So I'm assuming probably because Ryan got his from that side, the wind was probably too awkward to take those shots on. They perceived like shooting opportunities to me, but I'm watching the TV. I haven't been in Croke Park in a while, so I don't know what the wind plays up like out there. So would you say that's probably the wind was a factor?
Yeah, I think all the twos into the hill were on the far side of the pitch. Typically with the right foot. Even Clifford's was a massive 2-pointer off his right. So that would probably tell you the wind was probably blowing across from right to left as you looked into the hill on the TV camera. So that would make, and that would add into like one of the shots Sean O'Shea kicked wide. It went wide on the left, so the wind would have just pulled that wide into the hill. So made kicking off from your left foot then into the hill probably quite tricky. You'd be cutting back into the wind and it'd be taking the speed off the ball. But they turned down those shots. They tried to tee it up in that corner, in that 13 corner at the top of the arc. And I suppose Mayo knew that, that they kind of knew that they were able to get bodies there, and they seemed to have they had great cohesion back there. Kerry didn't get in for any soft scores really in that second half. They were meant to work very, very hard for them. Even the couple of ones Paulie got, or Graham O'Sullivan as well, I think, but they were hard fought scores. Nothing came easy in that second half.
Now, this might be a funny thing to say, but would you say that Jack Carney's 2-pointer was almost a turning point? I know it was very early in the game, but it did seem to be the one that gave them that momentum to kind of almost believe, followed up by, as we said before, Ryan's. And like, if they hadn't got that, do you know what I mean? And Kerry tipped on another couple, maybe it could have been a different story today. And I feel that 2-pointer at that time was extremely important. I'm just trying to think of, big turning points. It probably wasn't big turning points, but that I felt was an actual turning point early in the day.
Yeah, I'm just looking at notes there I took during the game, kind of for going back over it. That was it. That was it. It was needed. There was a nervousness. Kerry were getting their scores. They were getting easy scores around then. Sean O'Shea was clipping them over the bar. The goal was on the softer side. Really, I think it doesn't matter now, but it was, and that was. It just needs. Sometimes you need someone like that just to kind of. Just to grab it by the balls and just do something. And massive score, but it was no shock. Like he's the main 2-point scorer for Mayo all season. So Kerry, there was a lot of pressure on him. Like there was a good effort to block that ball, and he got it away, and it was a great score. But yeah, that got them going. A 2-pointer, it's massive in the games now. These 2-pointers, they just really are in terms of getting you back into a game or pushing out the lead. His second one in the second half, though, Mark,
what a shot!
He wasn't pressed at all there. Like that was a real mistake for Kerry. Like he already had landed one. There was no one near him putting pressure on him there at all. They'd be really disappointed with that, because that was equally as big a score, because it just pushed them on. I forget exactly now, but it pushed them ahead of Kerry. It opened up the gap maybe out to 5, and all of a sudden, it was the whole place believed it was on. Like,
that second one was executed beautifully as well. Kind of outside the right. He's a hell of a player, actually. So we'll have a lot of Mayo All-Stars this year, I feel. So I was thinking, like, obviously we've talked about the kickouts a little bit. We've talked about Mayo's intensity. The bench impact, probably, like, obviously Tommy Conroy came in, but like without anyone standing out massively, like Matthew Ran and was it Brickenden, a few of these guys, they did offer a bit of calm. Kerry brought in Tomas Kennedy, young lad with a big future, got on a few balls. Keith Evans actually did all right, but I would also say that probably Mayo maybe got the better of the bench impact as well, just in my opinion. But this is very fresh, so I might change that opinion tomorrow. But that's kind of what I feel now.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I suppose both teams had a change beforehand. Stephen Coyne, dropped out of the Mayo squad. Jeremy O'Connor for Kerry, so they were down kind of a big player straight away, both teams. But yeah, like Mayo, in fairness, Conor Loftus was in as well as Matty Rowan, Tommy Conroy early with 2 scores. I think Tommy got 2. He got a massive one at Winter Hawkeye. Tommy Conroy did as well, and that was an important score. So it probably shaded it, and Kerry then were just a little bit more limited because they had to throw in lads from they had to start. Who did they start? Tom O'Sullivan, and that would have been someone that they would have hoped maybe to launch into the game. Brino Björgli comes in as well. He's a big player for them, but if he's fit, he's starting. That kind of way. So I'd say that just the bodies weren't all 100% for Kerry, and I think Andy Moran said after the game that bar Stephen Coyne, like they've had a fit panel all year. It was just another one of those things that kind of he was commenting on and complimenting the medical team and the fit and the S&C team that to have all your players available. It's just another thing that helps.
No, that it is incredible. I think Darren McHale was another guy, but he was out all year, so they pretty much had a full bill of health. He did mention someone else as well, but I can't remember now. But yeah, look, an incredible win, and man of the match. Who was your man of the match? I know who mine was. I've mentioned him 10 times already.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a surprise. I'd say we're both agreeing on Ryan O'Donoghue.
Yeah.
And I fully expect him to get it later on tonight too in the Sunday game. It's going to be a hell of a banquet wherever they are. There's going to be crack there. Marty Morrissey will have his work cut out, keeping everyone in check.
He will. Probably football of the year now as well. In maybe Ryan, I think. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, it's going Mayo's way, and I think he's the leading man there.
Yeah.
He's had big performances in the quarterfinal, semi-final, final today. So yeah, I think that's a given as well. We mentioned like Jack Coyne and in fairness to Donnacha McHugh as well, the Carney as well. Like they had massive players all over the place, but it has to be Ryan O'Donoghue. I think his impact was huge.
Speaking of Jack Coyne, what a speech!
Yeah,
he get that sock. He had about 12 pages.
Yeah, fair play to him. There's many a Mayo man who wanted to do that speech, but he's the chosen one, and he didn't disappoint at all. He didn't disappoint, and he covered a lot of ground. In fairness to him, but when you get there, you're gonna take your time, and his voice was nearly gone by the end of it. So I'd say tomorrow morning when off the ball or when RTE look to talk to him, it could be difficult. But
it might be hard to find some of those lads tomorrow, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
And we got to an All-Ireland final without any controversial reffing decisions, which was good. I thought the ref actually did a quite good game overall. Anything else you wanted to talk about on this game or the championship as a whole, Michael?
Oh, I suppose the only thing the only small victory we can take out of from a Galway perspective is the 25-year jubilee for Galway. 2001's victorious team was on. So we saw glimpses of that there. So that was nice. It was a little bit poignant on just Paul Clancy's recent passing, John O'Mahony as well. So those two seem to get a tremendous reception from everyone there. Paul's son Finn took his place, and the round of applause seemed to go on forever there for him. So that was a nice moment for him. And for his family, because it's still very, very raw. But that was the one little Galway angle today. But yeah, it was a great year. There was a lot of upsets. In fairness, a lot of big games, a lot of big results. There was the Donegals and the Armaghs and Kerrys were being talked about from early doors. So I think there's a lot of people, including myself and people who are in the business, are kind of looking at can we learn anything here about what to say or what to do next year. But yeah, massive year. I think there'll be club teams, let alone county teams, taking great solace in that victory today. Maybe teams who are knocking on the door. There's this. It'll happen. It can happen. I suppose never give up, and that's the key.
100%. Yeah. Look, there's no doubt about it. The new rules have massively improved football, massively improved the contest. The 2-pointer is a prime example. And yeah, look, I really enjoyed the game today. Obviously, look, I was heavily leaning towards Mayo. I have nothing against Kerry at all, and lead me on to a very quick story. So I was at the GPA lunch on Friday, and I was sitting at the Make-A-Wish table. So one of the young lads there, he was from Cavan with his family, but his wish was to spend or meet David Clifford. So I can't remember what game it was before, but David went to meet them at the Crow Park Hotel, and he spent a full hour and a half with them, just talking, chatting. And this young man was a shy young man, and the family said he was just one of the nicest people they could ever come across. Now, I'm pretty sure it was prior to a game, might have been the day before, but look, you don't see a lot of him too much. He does a few interviews. He's very much in demand, but like, he obviously does a lot of probably great stuff behind the scenes. I just wanted to mention that because we are actually getting a bit of a listenership now, Michael. People are listening to us. So credit to David Clifford, like, because of who he is. Unless you're a Kerry man, people are always kind of, trying to give him grief. So I just want to say credit to that man as an individual. And yeah, that's it. We have our All-Ireland champions. I think you and I should pick our All-Star team. I know you'll probably have to do one for GA Plus, will you?
Not sure. No, we'll probably do Player of the Year, but there'll be a little bit of chatter on that tomorrow morning. So now or at another time?
No, another time. I'm not going to throw that on you right now. No preparation. You don't even have your earpods.
I know.
So,
No, we will.
So
we'll have a stab at that. That comes around much later in the year. Typically around November time. So we've plenty of time to get it right. But yeah, there's going to be a good sprinkling of Mayo through there. Absolutely. Yeah. So good luck to them. And like young player of the year, there's going to be a big battle for that probably between the two Mayo lads. So that's probably where that's going to. So it'll be interesting to see where it falls.
Yeah, and and Andy Moran, great player, seems like a great guy. Do you know him, by the way? Would you know Andy, Michael?
I do. I played against him a lot, and I've met him on and off. Just most recently, maybe at a couple of games. Just knocking around the back of Michael Park. I can't remember who was playing. Was it maybe Galway Mayo or Galway Leitrim or one of these things? Yeah. So this was maybe he was probably. I think he was just started with Leitrim at the time. Yeah, okay. But he's good. Played against him practically all the way up. He was maybe an age level ahead of me. So yeah, he was a thorn in our side a lot of the time on the pitch. In fairness to him as well, but that was credit to him now. So there's a great sense of satisfaction for him.
He's a good fella. He seems a good fella, Michael.
So as a young manager in his first year for his home county, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled for him. I've actually never met him in person. I used to listen to him on the football pod prior to they got James O'Donoghue to replace him. And then obviously I've been following his management career, and to get this done so early in his tenure, and the knives are out, as we said previously as well, and I'm delighted for him because I love the way he handles the media. I love the way just his passion for football. You can just tell he's a real good fella. So not saying Jack O'Connor isn't or anything, but it's just nice. Yeah. I'm delighted for him. So anyways, that's it. Mayo, All-Ireland champions 2026. And this is a weekend review, so we're going to talk about some other stuff. And we're going to talk about the Camogie semi-finals. Did you watch them, Michael? I had them on in the background while my kids were running riot, but I got the gist of the two of them.
Yeah, no, we were watching. Yeah, we were watching on here. The second one was the big one. I think Cork put in the performance of that weekend, of those two games. Now, in the first half, like they tore into Tipperary, and I think they had 13 shots and they had 13 scores, like 2-11 scored. They were 9 or 10 9 points up. Just dominant, but in fair, and I suppose they had played. It was quite windy in Simple Stadium, so they had the wind in the first half. Credit to Tip, like Tip came back with a fight back. In fairness to them, and made it into a right battle. But Cork they were able to sit on kind of a 5-point lead there for going down the stretch for the last maybe 9 or 10 minutes, and it didn't change. But I think they set out their stall, on the back of last year, getting pipped by Galway. It just seemed they put in the best performance from what I could see of those two games.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I watched them. So when I say I watched them, I might have seen 20 minutes of both. But you see key scores and things like that. But I would agree with you. I thought Cork always had Tip at an arm's length. Like, not that Tip weren't, they were coming after them in the second half, but just the bounce the ball never quite went their way. Like they needed a goal. They needed a goal to get back into the game and to push them down the stretch. So Cork were very impressive. They've a bit of a steel to them, good backbone, and yeah, look, it should be a pretty good game in 2 weeks' time. So you'll probably be going to Croker now for the next couple of weeks, will you?
That's the plan. Yeah, that's the plan. We were up at the Camogie final last year, and it was a brilliant experience. Because just got that 1-point win. But yeah, we're definitely going to take in the ladies' final next weekend. It's funny. Caltra here, our ladies club, Caltra Coons, just set up a Mothers and Others club a few short months ago, and now they have I think their third game ever is playing in Croke Park, as the Mothers and Others have a blitz there between the finals. So there's the junior, intermediate, and senior finals. So now there's 10 or 12 lucky women who are getting to tug out and play on our final day. So there's great crack here locally with that.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you think could I get a game?
What's that?
Could I get a game? I have not played in Croke Park. Let's set up Fathers and Others, Michael. Come on.
Dads and lads. Dads and lads. It needs
Dads
to be
and lads. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, I could line out Michael Meehan. Yeah, that'd be class.
Yeah.
Be good full forward line. You'd be
good. Just going back to the Camogie before we leave it, like watch more of the Galway game, and I suppose they came good in the second half. They were probably a bit lucky with a penalty. It was kind of a third person tackle. It was I'd say the big regret for having done it. There was no need to actually do it, and it happened to be in the square, and the ref blew it. And when he comes in and sees, I think it's Carrie Dolan is on the ground, he has to give it, and Carrie Dolan finishes it well. But Ciara Hickey was outstanding for Galway in the first half. She just mopped up all the long ball, raking ball. To Kilkenny were trying to hit the full forward line, but she was a spare person, and she cleaned up. Galway haven't played against the wind. We're just 2 points down, or sorry, just 2 up, but they drove on. But they seem to be, you'd have to say Cork looked the sharper after the weekend's games.
Would have thought that. Yeah, kind of like the Galway Kilkenny game again. I felt it never really got going properly. I think Galway were probably in third gear mainly. I still think there's a few more gears in there, but yeah, I would agree. I was impressed. I got to see most of Cork in the first half, which when they did a lot of their damage, and they were impressive. So look, be a good battle, as you said last week. If they both get back there, it'll be feisty. So one to look forward to. So
yeah.
Well done to Galway. Well done to Cork. Anthony, did you want to say anything else on those games?
No. That's no. Yeah, like you said, it's over. The men's finals are sorted now. They're in the past, and it's LGFA and Camogie now for the next 2 weekends in headquarters. Yes. And there's going to be big atmosphere. There's going to be big crowds there. Yeah, so looking forward to those.
I'm thinking of going just as because it's probably slightly easier day to bring 2 small kids, but yeah, anyways, that's for another chat. But okay, so next, I'm actually going to talk a little bit of boxing briefly. Do you follow the boxing at all, Michael?
A little bit. Yeah, I know. It's obviously Anthony Joshua. What was your read on that? I'm just reading. I didn't see it, but reading the commentary, there was a lot of raised eyebrows maybe at the way the
Right.
couple of
Well,
rounds went. Is that
okay.
fair, or is that?
So, oh, it's very fair. Look, I'm a boxing nut. I love boxing. I've been watching it, which I shouldn't have been since I was about 4 or 5. Again, I said this before. We had Sky very early, so I had access to all these big fights. But anyways, so Joshua, obviously this is his comeback. He had some tragedy with his friends, so but like he hasn't looked great for the last quite a long period of time. But he was fighting essentially a doorman, a guy who had a good record, 20-1, but he was kind of like, there wouldn't be much more of a level higher than me and you, and I've never thrown a punch in my life. So he came in, he looked $1 million, Anthony. He looked very confident, all that kind of stuff. He's in camouflage. And first round, your man comes out. Now, he wasn't moving at any great pace. Like, he was kind of like a guy you'd see outside Supermax on a Saturday night. But he caught Joshua with an uppercut. Didn't look much to it. Joshua down. Caught him again. Joshua down. Caught him a third time. The ref didn't call the knockdown, and then a fourth time, and he was held up by the ropes. But for whatever reason, at the start of round 2, and I just could not work this out because he had him in trouble. His legs are jelly. He just became a statue, stopped throwing, and pretty much opened up his hands, and Joshua knocked him out. So there was a lot of commentary online that he took a brown envelope. Now, I'm not saying he did. I'm a glass half full type of guy. I know boxing, from what people say, is corrupt. I'm hoping that Turkey didn't give your man whatever he gave him and said take a dive. But there was a lot of questions asked because it was a strange way for a fight to go, Michael.
Yeah. But it sets up the big bout now is with Tyson.
Yeah, I mean, look, I again, Tyson fought the night before. This was a fight that was for his Netflix thing, and I've been a Fury fan all my life, like huge Fury fan, just because the trials and tribulations he's gone through, and coming back from being an alcoholic and whatever. But he looked terrible, like genuinely looked like he aged 400 years overnight. Like, it was slow. It was like, again, actually, you would have seen better outside Supermax back in the day. So you're getting these two guys coming together 10 years too late, both serious decline. Joshua can't take a punch. Fury's gone slow, so it could go anywhere. It's still a huge event, though, and no doubt everyone will tune in, but it's just a pity that they couldn't get this one done when they were in their prime.
I know. When is that likely to be, Mark? Is it fixed?
Yeah, see, they're saying they're saying kind of like November, December, but we'll see. If we don't hear an announcement in the next 2 weeks, it'll probably just be one that never happened. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of them retired. Well, although Fury's retired now about 746 times, but But anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to do a quick chat about that. Yeah, there wasn't much else on the undercard. They're obviously two well-known names, so that's the boxing for now. And did you tune in to the athletics this weekend? I was actually watching a little bit of it before we came on, but I actually don't really know what happened, so I have no insight. So if you don't have any, we'll move on.
No, a little bit now, and I'll come back to. I was watching it just before we came on here as well, and we'll come back to that because there was a lovely piece with Ciara McGeehan. But the big news yesterday was Rashida Adeleke, who's been troubled this year with injury, a lot of hamstring injury. I think she qualified for the European Championships in Birmingham, which are a few weeks away. So that was big for her, I think. And she's such a young. I think she's 23. Like, she's phenomenal athlete and ability, and I suppose there's very high expectations for her. Coming around with the next Olympics, but I think she got a little bit of good luck yesterday and qualified by 0.05 of a second. Like, so just gets in, wins the Irish national title as well in the 200 meters. But she's going on to Birmingham now next month, which is good. And the other thing in that race, Charlene Maudsley would have been racing against her, and she pulled up. So she's supposed to head to Birmingham too, but maybe it was nothing. Maybe it's nothing too serious, but you'd be hoping. Like, she's a big, she's a serious athlete as well, like has been hugely
Yeah.
successful. I think she's broken her PB 4 times this year
Wow.
for the 400 meters. So she seems to be in a rich vein of form. And so and she was heartbroken. The clip of her, pulling up,
I saw the clip.
she was
Yeah.
heartbroken.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's nothing
Yeah.
too major or too long term for her. But that's the difficulty. But today, then the two things that I saw really was Sophie O'Sullivan, Sonia's daughter, wins the 1500 meters, and she's going. I think she broke her mother's record as well,
Wow.
national record, doing it. So Sonia was there as well on the coverage, so that was nice.
I saw it.
But
Yeah.
that's Sophie, and then there was a run with Kira. So Kira McGee
Neville
was there. Did
Sorry,
you see that?
sorry. No, I didn't. Sorry, you go ahead. Sorry, I jumped in. I thought you were talking about the 100 meters. Tell me about Kira. The run with
Yeah,
Kira, please.
Kira McGeehan was there, and obviously she was actually in Croke Park last weekend as well. And
Saw that.
she spoke on the pitch about her battle, and she has a very tough cancer diagnosis, and I suppose she's living it very, very openly and publicly, and huge bravery needed and strength to do that. But I think she's making a point of just trying to show her strength in dealing with what she's dealing with. And today then there was a run with Kira, so I think any kids could come onto the track, and they ran, I don't know, 200 or 300 meters with her, everyone together. Like there was hundreds of kids.
Wow.
And she was in the middle of them running, and it was just amazing. There was such high fives and emotion and smiles when that was over. And David Gaelic spoke to her afterwards as well for RTE, and it was just a lovely short interview. And she spoke so well, and she was so thankful to everyone for the support and the love and the well wishes that she's getting. And it's just heartbreaking because I heard her. She did Joe Malloy's podcast there recently, and I tuned in. And she has a book about everything that she's going through, and it's just horrendous. It's touched our family here. It touches every family at some point in time. But she's choosing to try and, I suppose, just live her life, and she's not shying away from it. And just has such admiration for her in how she's dealing with it and trying to maybe normalize it and make it, not, or certainly not to shy away from it. And that has to be such a hard thing to do for anyone, but certainly for her, who, in all her glory, was unbelievably successful athlete, on a world stage. But just wanted to say it was a lovely moment. It was a lovely idea by Athletics Ireland, and I thought it went really well. And your heart would go out to her, and just wish her well for what lies ahead.
She was actually on with Thomas Niblock as well. I think that was last week. So yeah, I've heard her speak a few times. Look, obviously she is an inspiration, and look, to face adversity like the way she is, it's incredible, because when we're sitting in where you and I are sitting, you can just only imagine how tough that would be to go through. And I'm not sure I would have the courage to take it on the way she is. So my admiration is incredible. The same way at Lewis Moody with M&D and all these people who show that real courage. They amaze me, and like they're real heroes. So nice to hear that Athletics Ireland did that. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you. I was just saying I watched Kira Neville win the 100 meters. That was it as well. So that was, and I forget who won the 100 meters men's. But again, watching some of this stuff with my kids jumping off tables is quite difficult, Michael.
I hear you. Yeah, but that was, I said, it was just on there before we jumped on the call here. And yeah, it seems to be, I think our athletics in Ireland is growing, is
really
popular again. There's a lot of energy behind it. There's very serious and good athletes there as well. So I suppose there's visibility then for the coming generation to kind of go and be the next Rashida Adeleke and Charlie Mosley and everyone else. So it's always great. You'll always sit down and watch the Olympics, but even the Europeans and the nationals there, like it's family viewing.
It is.
Kids love it typically, and you can sit down and watch it. And it's good. I think it's good. I think it's
No, I think it's great. And just so you touched on young athletes, there's a lot of good young athletes coming through, and thankfully they're getting a little bit more support now, because it's tough as well, in that space. Like financially, like if you become a full-time athlete or whatever, and to make it to where Charlene has, and people like that, it is tough. So you do need the backing as well. So these people need the backing of private sponsors, obviously Athletics Ireland, etc. So yeah, no, look, you look at the caliber now, you look at the times these people are running, and certainly athletics in Ireland, the future is bright, and I've always liked it, and I enjoy it. So even though I only saw a small bit, I do enjoy it. So yeah. And did you look at the Tour de France?
A little bit yesterday, like that. It was just a small while in the morning. It was on in the background. In fairness, Ben Healy was there was a lot of Ben Healy on the screen, but I think he's playing quite a team role is what he has right now. So that's kind of it's where he's at, I suppose, and his standing in the pecking order. But yeah, so it all finished up today, didn't it? And
yeah,
fifth win for
Tadej Pogačar, is it?
Tadej Pogačar, yeah, Slovakia or Slovenia. I think he rampaged through the Alpe d'Huez, the stage there yesterday. Like, it was quite a tough, mountainous climb. So he's fifth title now. So that's pretty spectacular. But I just saw they had to shorten the course a little bit today. With the wildfires and what's going on in France at the minute, they didn't have enough security and police to kind of manage the full length of the course, so they shortened it because they needed to get people, putting out fires and maybe relocating people from their homes. Like, so yeah, it's a bit mad what's going on. I don't know. We're not going to go on about global warming tonight, but there's
oh no,
Europe is in the spot of bother.
That's a big podcast, that one. That's about 5 days. Yeah, but anyways, no, that's 100%. And okay, I didn't see who win the Hungarian Grand Prix. I was going to mention the League of Ireland teams in Europe, but I forget how they got on, unless you can remember. So we might bring the League of Ireland in next week. Do you remember how any of the teams got on? I think Shamrock Rovers lost, but I forget the rest.
Yeah, they're out in Europe this week, Shamrock, and Shelbourne and Derry City as well. So I think we'd have a look at those. Well, I think Shelbourne are 5-2 up, Shamrock are 2-0 down, Derry are 1-0 down. So we'll see how they can come through those. But it's a big ask. But I suppose they're mid-season versus maybe other teams that are qualifying here are maybe in their off season. So hopefully they can get a few results and progress a little bit further.
Yeah, no, only because I've actually started following the League of Ireland the last couple of years again, so I might bring back in a couple of minutes here and there. But I couldn't remember the results. And Galway races, are we this week?
Yes, they start. 7 days of racing starts tomorrow, so it's a huge event. It's a social event as much as a racing event, as you know. I can see by the look in your eyes.
I spent many days
there, done that.
Oh, stop! Yeah, I told him I was Colin Farrell's brother once to get into whatever the VIP section was. So, but that's a long time ago now. They didn't believe me, but they let me in.
The champagne tent, yeah. So that starts tomorrow, goes all the way to Sunday, and it's hugely popular. I suppose everyone's probably hoping the weather will hold out reasonably well for it, because with the weather we've had for the last 3 weeks, a little bit of rain starting to fall here in Galway in the last day or two, but yeah, the plate and the hurdle in the middle of the week of the big races. But it used to be like Dermot Weld was the man. If you follow Dermot Weld, you were going to make money, but not so much in the last few years from what I know. So I go once a year, gone the Friday the last few years, and probably threw a few quid on every race and have not won a penny. So
I have noticed your predictions on here. So gambling not the way forward for you.
So the horse is, but it's just for a bit of crack now. But literally, no joy. So we'll see, unless we can get one of the knowledgeable racing pundits on during the week to kind of line us up with a few tips.
That's actually a good idea. That's a good idea.
That might give me a bit more confidence going into Friday evening, because I think we're going to go in again. But yeah, it's a big social. It's a case of a lot of people they meet up, family or friends or college mates, and this is one of the times in the year that it happens. So a
Yeah.
lot of nostalgia will be
Yeah.
will
Oh,
be
yeah.
around Galway this week.
And when are you going this week? Are you going Friday again, or what day are
I
you
think
going?
Friday, yeah, that's the plan. So
Very nice.
it's
Very nice.
it's a busy evening now. It used to be kind of a quieter evening, but I think Monday evening now is kind of getting very popular because it's a little bit quieter. The crowds can be massive. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as well. So, but look, that's hopefully if we get a fine evening, and you can be outside. It doesn't matter how many people are there really. So that's the plan. Are you going up?
Good stuff. Probably not, to be honest. If I was going anywhere, I'll go to Crow Park next week. So, yeah, you kind of, as I said, when you have two kids, you have to really plan your battles and when
Yes.
babysitter's available. So, we're not at that stage yet. So, but anyways, yeah, I hope you have a good time on Friday. Okay, so sports star of the weekend, Ryan O'Donoghue. I can't pronounce this right, and I never have, but Radishid Adeleke, obviously Darragh Beirne, Carrie Dolan, Laura Hayes, or Jack Coyne for his great speech, and actually throwing Andy Moore in there as well because what a job as manager. So, who would you give sports
Yeah,
star of the
well,
weekend to?
it's Mayo heavy and rightly so on this day. And we talked about it already for probably being man of the match, for being player of the year. And he has to get the nod for this prestigious title that we have
Yeah, I
as
tell
well.
you what,
Yeah,
I'm going to send him a message on Instagram right now to tell him he won this. So he's going, what a day, what a day. We have nothing yet, no
exactly.
prizes,
The
but
carrot on top.
when we have sponsors, Michael, we'll be sending out prizes. So
Very good.
and that's soon.
Yeah,
But okay, I'll go to Andy Moore and so because I love Andy Moore and yeah, class, what a guy. And then the last thing is the big call, and we don't have much to call next week that I know of, except Galway and Kerry in the ladies football, unless you can add a few more in for us. But who's going to win, Galway or Kerry? I know the answer because we're Galway men, but tell me why.
yeah. Well, I am going to predict Galway to win. They're probably the bookies' favourites. It's a repeat of the final 2 years ago. Kerry won quite easily on that occasion. I think the Galway team are knocking on the door. They've gone so close. Final that year, semi-final last year, lost to kind of there was a highlight of a play there today. Like it was kind of a backheeled goal in extra time that Dublin got. It was crazy stuff. So they were very close last year. Dublin win the final last year, and I think they've held on to their team. That's key. There can be drop offs in squads in every sport, and I think there's been a big changeover for Kerry more so than Galway, and I think Galway have enough of their main players available to them, and yeah, I just think it's one that they want to get done. Now there'll be pressure in that. There's an expectation there then for them to deliver, and the pressure will be coming from themselves, I'm sure. So they just have to manage that and not let that be a burden or an over focus. But I think they have the players backbone by Kilkerran and Clonberne. The they're the kingpins of LGFA club football right now, and they're down the spine of the team as well. So I'm giving Galway the nod for that. Yeah, so I'm going to go up. I'm going to really hope they can get it. They can get it done.
Nice. I'll go with Galway as well. And is there anything else on that I'm missing? I can't. I think we're in a bit of a quiet patch now for a few weeks till the Premiership is back.
Yeah, there'll be a little bit of transfer activity, as well for across Europe, and like Vinny Junior's talk of him maybe Arsenal trying to tap him up. So we'll keep an eye on that maybe as well for the next few weeks and see what happens. Like that would be a big one if he comes to Arsenal.
That'd be massive.
It would. So like that's he's like. He's brilliant, but I'd say he's frustrating to play with as well. But he's so good in an attacking sense. But he's not going to track for you. When you think of the track and the Mayo forwards did today, he needs someone. He needs someone covering him. But he's so attacking minded, and he'll deliver going that way. I think his goal involvements in Europe in club football this year was just phenomenal in comparison to. I saw something that was in comparison to the Arsenal forwards. I think he had 46 goal involvement, so either a goal or assist, and Arsenal's tops were like 26. So just
Wow.
he'd be phenomenal, I think, in the
Yeah.
league. So we'll keep an eye on keep an eye on transfers as well, Mark.
9 players on defense, but he'd be worth it. And look, New Zealand have that tour down in South Africa as well, like that 4-test tour. Look, there's enough. It's just obviously after the ladies Gaelic football and the camogie, small lull. But there's always enough to keep going, and even if it's just a transfer show, as you said. But Michael Meehan, you'll be just back in time for the Sunday game, so I hope you enjoy that. I appreciate your time, and congratulations to May.
Cheers, Mark.
The dream.